Most people buy perennials because they believe they are making the smart choice. Plant them once, enjoy them for years, and stop wasting money every spring. That is the promise. But here is the problem. A lot of perennials give you 3 good weeks, maybe 4 if the weather is kind, and then they spend the rest of the season looking tired, empty, or invisible. That is not a garden. That is a short performance followed by months of disappointment. So in this video, we are looking at 15 perennials that actually earn their space. These are plants that can carry color from late spring into fall, feed bees and butterflies, bring hummingbirds into the yard, and give your borders the kind of movement that makes a garden feel alive instead of simply planted. And the first one is catmint. Catmint is one of the most underused workhorses in American gardens. When it blooms in late spring, it forms soft clouds of lavender blue flowers that spill beautifully along paths, borders, and slopes. It looks delicate, but it is tough, drought-tolerant once established, and far less demanding than many plants people buy every single year. The key is simple. After the first heavy flush of flowers, shear the plant back by about 1/3. That one cut often triggers a fresh wave of growth and another round of bloom, keeping the plant attractive deep into the season. If you want a front-of-border plant that works hard without constant attention, catmint belongs near the top of your list. Number 2 is echinacea, also called coneflower. Many gardeners think they already know echinacea, but today's varieties go far beyond the old purple cone standing at the back of the bed. Modern selections come in coral, white, yellow, red, orange, and soft blended tones that look much more designed than wild. They handle heat, attract pollinators, and stand up well in sunny borders. And when the flowers fade, do not be too quick to cut them down. Those seed heads can become winter food for birds, especially when the rest of the garden has gone quiet. Number 3 is black-eyed Susan. This is the plant for gardeners who want dependable gold in late summer. Newer disease-resistant varieties stay cleaner than older types and keep pushing out bright yellow flowers with dark centers when many other perennials have already slowed down. Plant them in groups, not one by one. A single plant is pretty. A drift of black-eyed Susans can turn an ordinary fence line or sunny border into a glowing late-season display. Number 4 is hardy geranium, and this is where many gardeners get confused. When people hear geranium, they usually picture the bright red annuals in pots and window boxes, but hardy geranium is a completely different plant. This is the true cranesbill, a reliable perennial that comes back year after year and quietly solves one of the most frustrating problems in garden design: empty spaces. The variety many gardeners look for is Roseanne. It produces blue-violet flowers that can bloom for months, especially if you give it a light trim after the first big flush. It works in full sun, but it is also useful in partial shade, which makes it perfect under roses, along pathways, or in those awkward gaps between larger plants. What makes hardy geranium valuable is not just the flower. It softens hard edges. It covers bare soil. It makes a planting look full instead of unfinished. And for small bees and beneficial insects, those open flowers are easy to reach all season long. Number 5 is penstemon. If you want hummingbirds, pay attention to this plant. Penstemon has tubular flowers that seem almost designed for them. Depending on the variety, the blooms can be scarlet, pink, purple, lavender, or deep wine red. Plant several together in a sunny, well-drained spot, and you are not just adding color, you are creating a feeding station. Penstemon is especially useful because many species are native to North America, which means they fit naturally into American gardens when the right variety is matched to the right region. But here is the mistake that kills many penstemons. Gardeners cut them back too early. In colder zones, leave the old stems standing through winter. They help protect the crown from freeze damage. Clean them up in late spring, not fall, and your chances of seeing the plant return will be much higher. Number 6 is perennial salvia. This is the plant that rescues the garden when spring flowers are finished and summer heat starts flattening everything else. Salvia brings strong vertical spikes in violet, blue, purple, burgundy, and sometimes red. The color is intense and it holds up beautifully in sun. The secret is deadheading. Cut the spent flower spikes back to fresh leaves, and salvia will often send up another round within weeks. Ignore it, and the plant slows down. Use it near black-eyed Susans, ornamental grasses, or catmint, and the contrast can make a simple border look professionally designed. Number 7 is heuchera, better known as coral bells, and this plant earns its place even when it is not covered in flowers. That is what makes it different. Many perennials disappear visually after bloom, but heuchera keeps working because the foliage is the real show. Depending on the variety, the leaves can be burgundy, caramel, lime green, silver, plum, or almost black. In a shaded garden, that kind of color is incredibly valuable. The flowers are lighter and more delicate, small coral, pink, or white bells rising on thin stems above the leaves. Hummingbirds will visit them. But the reason gardeners keep coming back to heuchera is the long season of foliage color. Use it under trees, along north-facing walls, near hostas, or anywhere you need something brighter than plain green. One important note for colder climates: after winter, check the crowns. Freeze and thaw cycles can push heuchera upward out of the soil. Press it gently back into place. Add a little mulch, and the plant will usually recover well. Number 8 is agastache, and this is one of the best plants on the list if your goal is movement, color, and hummingbirds. Agastache, often called hyssop or hummingbird mint, produces tall spikes of tubular flowers in coral, peach, purple, pink, orange, and lavender. When it is happy, it does not just bloom. It becomes a magnet. Bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds seem to find it quickly, especially in hot, sunny gardens. This plant is especially valuable in late summer when many borders start to fade. Agastache often looks strongest in August and September, exactly when the garden needs fresh energy. But do not ignore its one serious demand: drainage. Agastache hates sitting in wet soil, especially through winter. Give it sun, lean soil, and sharp drainage, and it can reward you with months of color. Put it in heavy clay that stays wet, and it may disappear before next spring. Number 9 is scabiosa, also called pincushion flower. This is the plant that looks refined but behaves tougher than expected. The flowers float on slender stems in lavender, white, pink, and deep burgundy tones, bringing a soft meadow feeling even to a formal border. Deadhead it regularly, and scabiosa can keep producing for a surprisingly long time. It is also excellent as a cut flower, so do not be afraid to bring stems indoors. In the garden, butterflies often use it like a landing pad, especially during warm summer afternoons. So far, we have covered structure, color, pollinators, and long bloom. But the next 3 plants bring something even more important: native strength, deep roots, and serious design impact. Number 10 is Amsonia, also called blue star, and this is one of the most overlooked native perennials in American gardens. What makes Amsonia special is that it gives you 2 completely different shows in one season. In spring, it produces clusters of soft, star-shaped blue flowers, not purple, not violet. A clean, powdery blue that feels calm, fresh, and unusual in the garden. Then, after the flowers fade, the plant does not collapse into ugliness. Its narrow, willow-like foliage stays attractive through summer. And in fall, the entire plant can turn a glowing golden yellow, giving you a second display just when many perennials are going brown. For the best shape, cut Amsonia back lightly after flowering. That helps keep it compact and encourages a denser fall effect. Use it in naturalistic borders, native plant gardens, or anywhere you want a plant that looks graceful without demanding attention every week. Number 11 is Baptisia, known as false indigo. This plant looks expensive, architectural, and almost formal when mature, but once established, it asks for very little. In spring, Baptisia sends up strong flower spikes, often in deep blue or violet, though some varieties bloom in yellow, white, or smoky purple. After bloom, it forms decorative seed pods that add structure for months. The most important thing to know is this: plant Baptisia where you truly want it. It develops a deep taproot, which is one reason it becomes drought tolerant. But that same taproot makes it difficult to move later. Choose the location carefully, give it space, and let it settle in. A young Baptisia may not look impressive right away, but after a few years, it becomes a large, elegant clump that can anchor an entire border. This is not a filler plant. This is a long-term investment. Number 12 is Clematis, the queen of vertical color. Most gardeners use Clematis in one predictable way: one vine on one mailbox or trellis. But Clematis can do far more. It can climb an arbor, cover a fence, weave through shrubs, or soften an old stump that would otherwise look dead and forgotten. The real trick is choosing varieties with different bloom times. Plant an early, mid-season, and late clematis together, and you can stretch the display from spring into early fall. Clematis likes sun on its top growth, but cool, shaded roots. Mulch the base, plant low companions around it, and protect the root zone from baking heat. Do that, and this vine can turn a plain, vertical structure into one of the most memorable features in your garden. Number 13 is Crocosmia, and if your garden needs drama in late summer, this is the plant that delivers it. When Crocosmia blooms, it does not whisper. It sends up arching stems covered in fiery flowers, usually in orange, red, or golden yellow. The effect is bold, warm, and almost tropical, even though many varieties can return year after year in suitable zones. This is the kind of plant that changes the mood of a border. Put it near ornamental grasses, dark-leaved plants, or soft blue flowers, and the contrast becomes unforgettable. It also makes a strong-cut flower, so a few stems can bring that same late summer energy indoors. Hummingbirds are strongly drawn to the tubular blooms, especially the orange and red forms. If you want to enjoy the show, plant Crocosmia somewhere you can see from a window, patio, or garden bench. In colder areas, mulch the planting in late fall to protect the corms from harsh freeze and thaw cycles. That small step can make the difference between a plant that disappears and one that returns stronger the next year. Number 14 is Chalone, also called turtlehead. This is one of the most useful native perennials for gardeners dealing with damp soil. Many plants hate low, moist areas, but Chalone often thrives there. Rain gardens, pond edges, wet borders, and partially shaded spots can become perfect homes for it. The flowers are unusual, and that is part of the charm. They look like small turtle heads opening their mouths, usually in shades of pink, rose, or sometimes white. They bloom late, often from late summer into fall when many other perennials are already finished. Chalone is also valuable for bumblebees. The shape of the flower suits their size and strength, so a clump in bloom can become one of the busiest corners of the garden. Number 15 is Veronicastrum, known as Culver's root. This is the plant most visitors will not know by name, but they will ask about it. Tall, upright, and architectural, Veronicastrum sends up elegant spikes of white or pale lavender flowers that can rise above the border like living candelabras. Use it at the back of a bed, in a native planting, or as the centerpiece of an island border. Pair it with Echinacea, black-eyed Susan, and ornamental grasses, and the whole planting can look layered, intentional, and professionally designed. So, there they are, 15 perennials that do more than bloom for 3 weeks and disappear. They bring color, structure, pollinators, birds, movement, and seasonal interest from late spring into fall. A better garden is not always about spending more money. Often it is about choosing plants that actually perform. So, before you buy another short-lived bloomer, look again at this list. Pick 3 plants that match your climate, your soil, and the light in your yard. Plant them in groups, give them the conditions they need, and let them prove what a real perennial garden can be. And now I want to know, out of all 15 plants, which one belongs in your garden this season, and which one surprised you the most? Drop your answer in the comments, because another gardener in your zone may be looking for exactly the advice you already have.